So a topic came up this week that just made me laugh because obviously I have a few Irish friends and there seems to be this just mass confusion of when you say to someone, oh, it's next Friday.
Yeah, I listen. I love that you target the Irish a lot, but here we are.
But it just seems to only happen with the Irish.
There's no confusion. There's no confusion in Ireland. We just don't say this weekend.
But so I even sent like a definition of what next means in the dictionary to this group, and they still came back and said, I'm sorry, but I'm reading that we're right. And I was like, are you serious? It's this weekend or next weekend, right?
Yeah, but we just don't say this weekend. It's just always next. Like, what's wrong with just saying it's next Friday, like the next Friday that is available in our lives. But what if it's Wednesday? The next Friday coming is Friday, 2 days' time.
So the definition of next means the one that precedes the one that's about to happen, right?
The one that precedes the one that's about to happen, the one after the one that's about to happen.
This weekend would be this Friday, and next weekend would be next.
Yeah, but if you hear my words, I'm saying in Ireland, we don't say next. I love, you don't have to keep proving that you're right. I'm sure everyone.
I know, but it's just funny that.
Funny. I tell you what, I'm gonna fly to the UK. I'm gonna sit there and I'm going to observe everything, and I'm just gonna be like, let's get her. Let's fucking go.
But so one of the girls, so like this has happened to me quite a bit this week. Like this isn't one instance; it's happened quite a bit. And one of the girls said, "Yeah, but you could mean this next Friday." And I'm like, but that still doesn't mean. I was like, I'm so confused. Why this is an issue?
She's covering all bases.
I remember, like you, a few years ago, we had something on, and you had obviously the organizer had said next weekend, and so you had literally cancelled all. It was a really important event, and you had cancelled all your clients for that weekend.
Correct.
And then found out it was the weekend after, and you know, I mean, it was catastrophic for you when you have to reorganize multiple people.
That was hell, yeah. I mean, how many people do you have to reorganize on a weekend? Like sometimes it can be up to like 15, 20 clients, and having to then obviously probably push some of them to the weekend after when it was actually on, and then have to reorganize all those clients again and explain to them that I'm an idiot. So it's not great when it happens, obviously, in the outside world, but you have to remember, when you're in Ireland, I don't remember that ever happening. So we have our own little traits. And listen, sometimes I do think it's a lot got to do with the fact that we were just like, okay, we'll speak the English language, but we're just not going to do a great job. Like, out of stubbornness.
Yeah.
Well,
it reminded me of a comedy sketch, because Wales, the Welsh are a little bit like that, and obviously you deal with that every day with Sandro being Welsh. But the Welsh say the most bizarre things. Yeah, I'll be there now in a minute, or what's that comedian thing where he says, you see those two houses over there, mine's the one in the middle. Like, the confusion. But so when I was kind of, trying to state the obvious with this next weekend means not this weekend, but the one after, and just people coming back going, no, I'm reading that as this weekend. Like, I don't understand. And I'm like, are you guys on drugs? Like, what is going on? You sound like the Welsh.
I think that's just more of a doubling down because they got their backup. You know what I mean? Like that whole confidence thing that you don't want to admit that you're wrong. So you're just going to double down. You're just going to double down, and you're just going to go knee deep into it because what's that? What's the definition again? What did you say?
So it's the one. Oh, let me look. I've got it on my phone.
Yeah.
Hold on.
We need to hear that again.
Because I sent it to them.
Everyone needs to hear this.
So it says coming immediately after the present one. Coming immediately after the present one. So the present one would be this Friday, and the next one would be the one
Yeah,
after.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we get that. But there was another word, the one that you sent to the group. Maybe they just didn't know what the word meant, and maybe they didn't want to admit that they were wrong. You know, because you love doing that. You love also like proving that people can be wrong. And obviously that puts people's backs up. And I think some of them possibly just didn't want to admit that. Or they
Oh,
were
I
just
think
like,
I
I'm
think
never
they were
sorry.
probably torturing me of just
I think they saw that as you torturing them.
No, I think it was the other way around. They were just having a right old laugh about how stressed I was getting with, "Why aren't you understanding?"
Oh, I don't think they understood that you were stressed. I think they just thought that you wanted to prove you were right because you don't give off that you're stressed ever.
Really?
Never. No, you don't give that off. If anything, they were just like, fuck her. Fucking bitch, always thinking she's right. Fuck that bitch. Because you don't give off that you're
But yeah, do
stressed.
you
You
have
might
do
feel
you have
stressed.
any, do you have any,
Examples.
like, well, no, examples of where the Welsh, like, it just
Oh.
baffles you. You're just like, "What?"
No, we're pretty on par with the craziness when it comes to that, I think, for sure. I definitely don't get me wrong though. Like Sandra calls me up with all the stuff that I say, and he's like, just say get to the point. So kind of I've implemented because mistakes have happened way too many times. And what am I going to do? Just keep going around on this like roller coaster of always being wrong? And what you're going to change the whole fucking world, or just move back to Ireland? I mean, one or the
Yeah.
other. So I was like, okay, I'm more now about the date. I look at the date because the thing is with that like event that we went to, there was a date and there was like just the wording. I read the wording. Now I read the dates and I go straight into my calendar. I look at what I've got on that date and then I come up with my answer from there. It's all about the dates now. No fucking around with next, this. I don't give a shit anymore. I just, what date is it? Tell me the date.
Oh,
Because my
I mean,
brain just,
I also love it because I love the way, there's obvious differences between us, which I love because, I love the fact that, I'm friends with so many different people, like, that are from different places in the world. That if we were all the same, that would be really boring. Whereas I love, like, my mum phoned me the other day and she said, "Oh, I've just listened to your episode. Oh, isn't that funny? Lockers." And I was like, I said, "She calls everything a bloody locker. The kitchen cupboards, the wardrobe, the bedside tables, the bathroom unit, everything's a locker." And she was like, "Oh, it just had
or
me in
press.
stitches."
Or
Oh,
press.
yeah, the
But everyone
press.
knows
That
what
was
that is.
it.
If I say in Ireland, like, oh, they're like, where's the scissors or where's this or where's that? I'm like, it's in the press. And I guarantee you that person will walk over and open that exact fucking press. It is a magical gift the Irish have, and it's magical to watch when you're in your mother's kitchen. It's really impressive. Um, so also I've had a request from some listeners for you. Have you wormed yourself?
No. Oh my God, I can't
People
believe
were like,
people have said that.
how did she not know about worming? Like,
No.
people were just like,
Well,
had she wormed herself?
so my mum listened to that episode and, so she messaged me without even prompting her and just said, "No, we were lucky enough that none of you ever needed it."
So she checked your shit for worms, and you didn't
Yeah,
need
like,
it.
well, I've spoken to other mums, and apparently it's quite, obvious when it happens. Like, they get irritable, itchy, and yeah.
There
So
you go.
mum said, but my sister said she had to do it to her daughters, but we never needed it.
That's
We're just
hilarious. I
pure.
love it.
What
People
can
have
I
come in and
say?
they're just like, they say to me, they're just like, has she gotten wormed since? And I was like, no. As far as I'm aware, she has not had to worry about that. But her eyes have been opened up to the world of
Yes.
worming.
Oh my God, that was hilarious though. I couldn't believe it. Like, I mean, this podcast is opening up so much of the world.
It really is. It really is.
And do you know what?
But
Actually, saying that, like, I mean, not just things that we're learning, but our different chapters that we're moving through. And I was actually, I can't even think what I was watching last night. I was watching something last night, and they were in a bar and they were dancing and they were all having fun. And I just had a moment where I kind of thought, oh, I used to do that. Oh, it was so fun, wasn't it? And then I was like, oh, that's where me and Grania met, like, on a night out. And, and I started to have a bit of a moment where I mourned my past life. And I know,
Oh, did you?
well, it's quite, it's quite a thing for mums where, obviously their world is transformed. But, we're not mums, but still our world has transformed and changed, that no one really recognizes it for us as well. Like the days when we didn't, I love everything about my life right now, just putting that out there. But, the day when I didn't have a business, I didn't have a house due up, I didn't have cats that I couldn't travel, and the life that we had was so free and fun. And not that I want that life now. I love the one I've got, but still, you do mourn it. Do you get what I mean?
I do get it. I think the only experience I had with that being similar, I suppose, has been the last 6 months. There's a group of amazing women down here, and they're all mums. And when they get together, it's like, what kids, and they just absolutely go for it. And I've been in their presence, and I was sober. So it made me look probably just like, oh my God, as a sober person, we're all so shit faced. And I was trying to explain, like, no, 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 no. Like, this is me. Like, this was me once upon a time. I'm on board. Go for gold. Get your tits out. Get on a chair. Get on a bar. Go for gold. I love it. I'm here for it. But then the more my time is going on within those 6 months period, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Oh
So
no,
I don't
I
know.
don't want to do
Like,
it either.
I kind of also, but some people that you meet when you meet someone new, it's like you kind of want to do it with them, but you're like, I can't do that anymore. Like, so that's maybe my morning is like, no, I promise I used to be fun. I
Yeah,
promise I used to be fun.
I know.
I
When
just can't
really,
do it anymore.
who defines what fun is? Um,
My
only
mother,
you can define that.
she is a party animal. That woman does not stop ever. She had to cancel clients pretty much for the very first time ever in the last few weeks because she fell a bit ill. But I think she was just run down to fuck. Like, she is always on the go. She's in a new play. She's coming off her medication from being so ill to go to a hen party. And then she's going to come home and come back on the medication. Like, that woman. Like,
I know, but so like I think this, like when I speak to my mum, she's always out at dinners and
yeah.
lunches and but she's also like working and living a life. But you've got to remember that they, had their hard times. They were the mothers that, did have to give up themselves. And, your mum was a single mum. So
Oh,
even
it
more
comes back around the
sacrifices
circle.
were made.
Mm,
And, she
yeah.
had to work even harder to keep her identity. Um, and now all her children are grown up, so she's just gone loose.
Oh, oh, totally. She tells that to other moms. She's like, "Don't worry, that'll come back round. You'll just pick up where you left off, and you'll have way more fun." Like, like, she's all about it, and it makes me. I think if I had kids, I would feel less like the parent. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm
Yeah.
so boring. Like, we were messaging this morning, and she's like, "I'm doing this and that, and doing this and that." And I'm just like, oh, I'm just doubling down at work at the moment. Like, nothing
I know, but
really.
she's been there. She's been in that stage.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, totally. Yeah. But like, she's definitely one hardcore fucking woman. I tell you that. Yeah. You're mourning the past life, yet you love your life. I get it. I tell you what, though, I don't want to go back. I was so stupid. Oh my Christ. I have learned so much since, like, actually consciously living. Like, I mean, we were drunk every day, every night, like every day.
I
I
know,
think I did my
I
whole
know, but
apprenticeship drunk.
the beauty of that was that we didn't have any responsibility, so it was fine. We didn't have a business. We didn't have tax bills to make. We didn't
Mm.
have to woo new clients. We we had no obligations. We were free as you could possibly imagine. I mean, like, when I
We were
met you,
all
I
so
think I was
broke
like
as fuck.
27.
We were so
You what?
broke.
I know. I mean, like, I think
So broke.
back to how we lived. I mean, do you remember that time where we literally had $10 between us?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
This
we
is a
said
very
we either
significant.
buy a loaf
Mhm.
of bread and some beans to have beans on
Mhm.
toast for dinner, or we go and get a $5 wine each. And we chose the $5 wine. And then we told the bar staff the story, and so they gave us another free wine. So we had
What,
two.
what happened was they wanted to give us the first one, but I hate that because we were just like, no, 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 we're just coming for one. So I said to them, I was like, you know what? We only have the money for one. So let us pay the money and let us be on our merry way. Because if you start giving us drinks, we look like scabbing bitches because we won't be able to stay there and continue, or we won't be able to buy someone a drink back. And that was me. And then when they were just like, we don't care. And next thing is we got hammered. Like,
Yeah, we got
I,
absolutely smashed.
but we still had like 3 or 4 days to go before we got paid. And I
Yeah.
recall another weekend where we got a curry, like a $10 curry, and we literally
Oh,
like portioned out this fucking
we used to
curry.
do that a lot. At lunchtimes, I used to come and meet you, and we'd buy a
Yeah.
$10 curry and we'd share it. Like we were so skint.
We were also so skinny because we were burning
Yes.
calories on, like, we were burning calories running around town, going to different pubs, dancing on bars, no money to eat, but my God, did we drink. Um, yeah, those times, I mean, I suppose, you know what? We probably learned a bit of resilience, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, how to survive on no money. I mean, Christ, we definitely learned how to do that.
We don't have the fear of going broke again. That's for sure and certain. Because did we have a good time?
We did have a great time. What a
Mm.
time of just wonderful fun. We had an amazing time. And
Well,
I
I
mean,
did.
that's what I mean. Like where you're mourning a past life, you're also celebrating that, you've had such a fulfilled life. And, it's brought you to where you are today. And that's why you love where you are today, is because you've done it all. Like when people say to me, oh, why don't you go to festivals? And I'm like, I did
Oh,
so many festivals.
so
Like
many.
I've done it. Like, after a while, it's a bit like a church in Italy. They're all the same, you know, that you're
Yeah,
just fed up
yeah.
with going. It's just too much hassle.
And I went a
I've
lot as
done
a
it all.
teenager. Yeah. I don't want to
Yeah.
keep doing it. When I see people's videos and pictures um at festivals, I don't care.
No.
Like, I truly don't at all.
That's where JOMO comes in.
Oh
Like
yeah.
massive.
Even I thought of you. Can't remember if I've said this on the podcast or not, but I was lying in bed the other day, and like there's not really many houses around me, but there's a house and there was a party, and I could hear them. And I was just lying in bed, just going, oh my God, I'm so happy to be in my bed. It's a Saturday night. It's like 10 o'clock. I'm in bed. I've got JOMO. I was like, oh, I want to message Charlotte right now and tell her I've got the biggest JOMO, but I didn't. I just lapped it up and cuddled even further into my bed. I was so happy. So happy.
It is it's a wonderful feeling when, you do miss it and you mourn it. But that's the point, is that you're not missing it, meaning you want to rejoin that world. You're mourning it as in that was a life, that's done, on to the next chapter, and you're happy to move on. But, I think we all have this in our own way, whether you are a mother and, you mourn your life before, coming last on every single decision that happens, versus, us, that we come last when it comes to the business, the house, the cats, same. It's kind of not the same, because obviously, they've got humans to look after, but we still mourn the people we used to be, but happy to have moved into this different zone. And I think it's important. Like I saw like something on Facebook the other day of someone that we know, and they were like saying how, they saw a post from like 15 years ago of like, I'm so happy. They wrote that, and, and then was saying, what a wonderful place to have been. I wish I was still like that. But, you're in a different chapter. So it's different. It's a whole different ball game. You can't compare. It's not apples for apples, when you're 25
Mm.
and just arrived, and, you're
I think
traveling and you've got that buzz.
I think as well there's a huge transition stage. Like, I think, like, obviously, that transition stage is huge. Like, I mean, I remember kind of I don't know, feeling a little bit even lonely on the weekends because I stopped going out too much. Because obviously it started with saving money to buy land, and it's,
Oh, I
you know,
remember that when you guys would count your nuts, you'd separate,
yeah.
you'd buy the mixed nuts and then separate them in the evening, and you looked like right paupers.
I'm not going to fucking lie. We're nearly at that stage again because we're trying to save and we're trying to do shit right now. Um, I feel like I need to explain the nuts. Like if you buy a mixed nut bag at the pick and mix at the supermarket, it's so much cheaper than buying individual nuts. And then I used to go home and just separate out all the nuts so they can be used obviously for different things. What a time to be alive that was. That, and I mean, how lonely do you have to get like to actually know that the price difference makes a fucking difference in your budget of nuts? But anyway, um but there is a transitional stage. Like I remember being quite like,
Yeah.
freaked out about the fact that like even, I didn't see a lot of people because I'd go to the pub and see them. It was part of my routine. And like they were
Mm.
still going to the pub, like, and I was at home because we were saving. So I think we had to implement a lot of hunting and a lot of things that we had to do, so I couldn't like, and at least I had Sandro like to kind of bounce that off of and buckle down and do and try and do it together. Which, if anybody wants to do that, it's a make or break, right? Just FYI, that's a make or break. So yeah, I mean is it loneliness or is it being lonely? With that
Well,
transition
I don't think
stage.
either. I mean, there is that whole thing of the art of being alone but not lonely. And,
Yeah,
I feel that quite a lot just because I get, just because I'm single, people just go to me. Like even somebody said to me the other day when I said, "Oh, I've been looking up villas in Greece. I'm getting really excited. I'm closer to my goal and my dream." And they were like, "Oh, but wouldn't you be lonely?" And I was like, "No, I'm not lonely now. I don't see what would be different." Like,
I think that should sit on some of those statements that should just never be said. You know the way, like, when like, there's little things that people say sometimes that are very normal things to say that I think we should get rid of. I think saying to someone like, "But wouldn't that be lonely?" when it's their dream is probably something that you shouldn't say. No?
well, I mean, it wasn't meant like that. It was just, an observation of probably how they would feel. It was probably a reflection of how they
Yeah,
would
yeah,
feel.
reflection. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Rather than how I would feel, because, essentially my life right now is quite similar to what it would be when I'm in Italy or Greece. I still know people in those places, and I'd have way more people coming to visit me because I'm closer to the UK. So I'd probably never be able to get rid of people. It would be annoying. I've already had so many people say, "When are you moving? When are you moving? I'm going to come out for like a month, 3 months." Um, so, and at the moment, I absolutely love my alone time. To the point that I even went on a date, which you kind of organized. And what it made me realize is that if I am so content and happy with my life that if I am going to disrupt this, not in a bad way, I'm very open and welcoming to that if that happens. But if I am going to disrupt it, I am so goddamn happy and happy being alone that, they've got to be goddamn worth it. But it just kind of takes me back to that, and I've said this before about that time when I went down to the Amalfi Coast on my own for 3 days and I took Rich as Fuck. It was the first time I read that book. And I was just in my absolute element. I remember sitting in this restaurant, like outside, literally on the ocean, eating seafood, reading my book, drinking wine. The waiters, as the Italians always are, were like, "Oh, are you alone? Oh, we'll give you a free drink." And so I just had free drinks all night because I was alone, reading
Amazing.
my book in absolute heaven.
Amazing.
Like, I
Amazing.
was like, life doesn't get better than that, really, does it? Where you're just getting
No.
constant free drinks. You've got an ocean view, fresh fish that was caught that day,
Mm.
just reading your book, enjoying your life. Like, how can that be lonely?
No, it's not at all. But the problem is people find it hard to get to that point of sitting there by yourself. And it takes a bit of a journey, I think, to get there. You're a fucking totally different person now since you've been content in your own company, because you're doing things that are a drive for you. So you're doing things for yourself. So I think we all should be content in our own company. Like, there's definitely like the salon is a sanctuary for me outside of the house because it's mine.
Yeah.
It's mine. And I love it. And it's got my personality all over it. And it's just so lovely. And I honestly, like, sitting by yourself can be quite hard. So you should really give yourself a lot of credit for the fact that you're feeling content and like absolutely happiness within yourself. Because being in a wrong relationship, that's way worse than probably being by yourself. But being by yourself can maybe be quite scary for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've never even lived by,
And
some people have never lived by themselves.
oh my
I
God,
mean,
the moment I did that, it was actually after a breakup of a boyfriend. It was the first time I'd ever lived by myself. And when I did it, I was like, holy fuck, how can I ever go back now? Like,
oh, was
it's
that
so
immediate?
amazing.
That was
You are?
immediate. That feeling
Yeah.
was immediate. Oh,
Yeah. Well,
I
because
love having
everything,
that.
like there was no mess. It was just me
Mm.
that was I remember once though, I threw something in the bathroom bin and it missed the bin. It was like a tissue or something or a cotton bud. And I like went to walk off and then I was like, oh, I literally am the only person that's going to put that in the bin. So I might as well just pick it up now. It was a really weird realization of just no one else is
Mm.
here to, pick up after you if you can't be bothered or you forget to do something. It's like when I was buying the house, it was hard because, you bounce ideas off people like, what about that one? And yeah, but it didn't have that garden or it didn't have this. There was no one. So I very heavily relied on my friends and was probably extremely annoying at times because I was constantly trying to involve them because I just needed a soundboard.
Yeah, that's understandable. Like, but it also made me realize, like, oh, because we were going through the house stuff, I was very much in the sense of, oh my God, I wish I could just make all these decisions by myself. Like,
I know,
so
but some
when
things you do want to
when you
like.
say that, I'm like, oh, I'm grateful now I had Sandro. Like, or I can make you see that, like, actually making decisions by yourself. Because I've said that to you when you were going through that. I was like, oh my God, the
Yeah,
heaven of making that decision by yourself. I think it's quite good, the positions the both of us have been in on this, like, because we're making each other see different sides of the page, basically. Oh, to have
yeah.
a clean house to come home to, though. Oh my God, that sounds like heaven.
I know. Well, it is nice because obviously, the only person that makes mess is me. So then, that realization that day when I threw something in the bin and realized it was only me that would pick it up or it would stay there forever has meant that I naturally then, as soon as I eat my dinner, I instantly wash up my plate because then it's done and it's only
What
mine.
are the
I don't let it
disadvantages,
sit
though?
there
Like,
for
are you
24 hours.
becoming, what are the disadvantages of living by yourself, in the sense of, like, are you
I think
becoming a bit of a hermit?
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, like, I do kind of, I say that sometimes. Oh, I never go out. I never see anyone. All I do is bloody see people and go out. That actually, all I want to do is stay in. And it's like as if I say that because I'm dreaming of the day when I don't have to go out and I don't have to. I mean, I've put the highest gate up on my garden. I've put a padlock on it now. Like, I'm fully like trying to just, I want to go further in. And I think if anyone experience what it is like to live on your own, you'd realize the absolute heavenly happiness that it is.
Absolutely amazing, I have to say. And I mean, I'm like, oh, I'm not too sure I
You're
believe
like,
all
shall I put
that.
him in the caravan?
Yeah, he'd happily live in the caravan, I can tell you that. Um, I don't know. See,
Well,
the thing
you
is,
know
I
what it's
just,
like when you come over and stay with me, like you leave so relaxed every time. Like,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
not like
And
you sit here and let me do everything. Like you clean up after yourself immediately. So imagine if it was just you in the house. Like, that's the life. There's not mess. You don't need a cleaner because there's, like you said, when I said I'm going to clean the house this week because a friend is coming, you were like, oh, because it's so dirty. But, like the thing is, you can do that deep clean because you don't have to do it all the time because I don't have anyone else to clean up after.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, I don't clean up after him anymore. He's after learning, and having the cleaner come in has been fantastic. And I've just had to turn a blind eye because I'm truly busy. I'm so busy.
I mean, actually, that has just triggered when you said, is there a downside? I do think of this a lot because the reason why I start work later is because, it is just me in the house. So what would normally take you, Sandro, and the cleaner, 3 people, I do solely on my own. So like today, I cleaned the windows, I trimmed the whole garden, and I mowed, and that's taken all day. And, I hoovered and, so what you think, like even when I was decorating, I remember when I was doing the hallway and it took me 3 days to do a hallway. Whereas if there was another person, that would probably take 1 day. So
Yeah.
the downside is that obviously I need a lot more time to do things because I have no one to share the tasks with.
Which is why your job works probably quite well, because you can be at home and you can
Yeah.
do a potter doing those like jobs, even if it's just like putting a wash on or, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's understandably why everyone thinks like, oh, Gronya, you work so many hours in the salon. I'm like, A, because it's my space and it's heaven. And B, it's because there is somebody at home stacking the wood. There is somebody at
Yeah.
home lighting the fire. There is somebody at
Oh,
home cooking the dinner. I get it totally. And that is the disadvantage side of living by yourself. But the fact that you also can work from home means you can light the fire. You're not going to you're not coming home to a real empty, dreary house. You have to make it quite
yeah, that would
homely
be quite
5 days
sad.
a week. Yeah,
Mm.
5 days. Because when Sandro is gone, whether it's hunting or going up to the UK or whatever the case may be, um, I do have to come home and I have an hour of intense jobs that I have to do. Like I'm
Yeah.
starving. I have to get food in me. I have to get the fire going. Sometimes that means cutting, like
Yeah, so that's a
kindling.
glimpse into my
Yeah.
everyday.
Yeah. But that's after 8-hour shift or shit like that. So
Yeah, but I'm still working
away from
too,
the
so
house.
I also
No,
have
don't get
that after an
away
hour,
from the
8 hour.
house. Well, no, because your 8 hours is in the house. Like the other day, you had to get up and actually leave the house to go for a day's work someplace else. And your phone call was, oh my God, I'm rushing out the door. And I was like, yeah, that's like people going to work. Like when they have to have the routine of leaving their house. Whereas you get to potter in the morning, you have a habit of 9 o'clock shower,
But that's why
9:30
I
bath.
do have that,
You have to have a
because
routine.
well, I mean,
But I'm
I
saying
have to
you can
have
also light
time
the
for
fire.
myself because when you live and work in the same space,
Yeah,
you're
that
doing
takes a lot.
chores all day long, you're working all day long. Like your whole life just becomes a list that you need. So I do give myself like hours in the morning to read the book, to, do whatever I need to do, whether it's
Yeah, yeah,
scrolling
yeah.
on social media, which I'm trying to stop, but, or whether it's talking to you. I talk to you for an hour. I talk to my mum. Oh my God, actually saying that with my mum. Oh my God, she's kind of getting the hang of Instagram now. And in the past couple of weeks, I have had so many reels sent to me. She's obviously followed this account of this frog Teddy. It's not Kermit the Frog, but it looks similar. And, those whole things where, they're going round on a merry-go-round or they're hanging out the car and all the captions are like, and sad music of just like, just waiting for my daughter to come home. Does anybody want to be my friend until my daughter comes home? And I'm like, Mum, what the hell? Like, you're literally sending me these boom, 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 one after the other. I'm like, I get it.
I would, please God, tell her not to send any of that crap to my mother. She would send it. No, no, no,
I'm going
that
to
is,
forward you a few because they're
no,
actually funny, but
keep
it's just that I've
that
had so many.
chaos to yourself, honestly. Keep that chaos to yourself. that whole guilt. Oh no, I can't handle it. I can't handle that guilt for living my life. I can't do it.
I know, I'm kind of like, "Come on, I'm almost there." Like, I'm getting through this. I'm doing the whole plan that I had in place. But yeah, it's just been hilarious that she keeps sending me these reels that I'm like, "Oh my god, are you getting the hang of reels? Damn it, what am
But
I
you
gonna get
talk like
next?"
every day on the phone as well.
I know we do, but that's as well something I do in the mornings. Like I'll talk to my sister or my mum, or other people that are abroad, like my friends in Italy, or you is a frequent one in the morning. So those mornings are really important for me just to connect and then do the chores and the work and the chores and the work and the chores and the work. There has to be some balance.
All I'm thinking about is though, like when you're talking about your day, you're like, and I went out onto my lounger with my Pims at 4 o'clock. I love it because you have such a good balance because people don't see that like you physically
Oh
can
yeah,
never
I've
work
made
for
it so
anyone
it's a good
ever again.
balance.
Yeah. Like you physically can never work for anyone ever again. When you tried to do
No.
that, in the middle of working for yourself, not because you wanted to be employed again, because mortgage reasons and etc. Like
Yeah,
there's
it was to
there's
try and get the
obviously
house, yeah.
benefits behind a weekly salary coming in, and you were just like, oh my God, they gave me enough work that I could have done in 3 hours. And like that's a week. And you had it done. And you went back and you were like, more. And they were like, no, no, no. Like that's your week's work. And you were like, oh my God. I've
I know.
clearly you had yourself so trained to work so quickly and so efficiently and timing yourself. It's why your prices are so low because you get shit done and you've got an hourly price. So
Well, I
when you
don't have
do.
an hourly price really.
Yeah, but you
But
obviously
I
you have to
am
work off for the business. Like I have a minute rate that I have to meet every month to pay my overheads. Like it's not an hourly rate like you're saying to a client, oh, I'm working per hour. Like I have minimum what I need to bring in per hour to be able to actually pay my bills.
Yeah,
You
but
don't
that's it's kinda no, it's very
you
different
don't
with
work
my
like that?
business.
Well, yeah, I
No.
mean it would be very different. Yeah. I mean
I
obviously
mean,
with
we
hairdressing
had this
and
conversation, like, with the end of tax year, that how our businesses are so different, like,
yeah,
how we manage them, run them, that we can't, unfortunately, like, learn from each other. There are some things, like with the top line stuff, but we can't really learn systems and stuff from each other because 'cause they're so different, and that's why you
they
always get
are.
tax rebates and I get bills of new amounts due.
Well, I'm hoping to get a bit of tax back. I'm not. I
Mm.
haven't yet, but my GST has been quite good to me. Like how you, yeah, for sure. But it's lovely seeing the difference because there's a lot of people in my industry that quite they look at your industry and they think it's all sunshine and rainbows. And I explained to them, I'm like, yeah, but when you have a lot of outgoings, you write it off. Like my tax and my GST are very much orchestrated to my outgoings, my stock that's sitting in the salon, all of these different things. Like if I had 10 grand in my account in the morning before the end of the tax year, I very easily could spend that on 10 grand's probably worth of product even.
Yeah, I
And then
can't. What am I gonna
I
spend that on?
count the product and then that also gets deducted off my tax. So you know what I mean? So I say to people, I'm like, no, 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 it's not all bells and whistles because their GST and their tax bill is through the fucking roof because
Mm.
their outgoings aren't
Oh, minimal
aren't
because we don't really have outgoings.
yeah, like I mean you have definitely outgoings when it comes to like software and I mean your
Yeah, like the
laptop has
tools
to
I
everything
use and stuff.
of course.
Mm.
So it is so different, but I fucking love that I have the insight from you to be able to say to them like, no, 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 like it all works out. Like I guarantee myself and Charlotte will probably top line look very similar this year, but
But very different ways we've got there.
oh my God, I've got pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of shit that needs to go through. Whereas, yours is probably quite neat and tidy and very
Yeah.
repetitive.
Well,
Like,
even my our accountant, said, she was like, "Well, it's quite easy because you just have your monthly payments and that's about it." I was like, "Yeah, yeah."
yeah. So it
But
does
yeah,
kind of,
I have to get creative with, you know, expenses because
yeah.
Like, so I, before the end of the tax year, I bought a new phone, which it was well overdue. And I do photo shoots and video shoots with my
And she's
clients. I
going to
actually
buy
got one on
me one
Monday.
too. I forgot to tell
Well,
everyone.
no, you're
Charlotte
not
said she's
part
going
of
to
my
buy me.
business.
Yeah, but Charlotte said she's going to buy me a new phone.
What are you doing? Is that some kind of affirmation?
Just dropping you in it. You want to be able to spend your money for the end of the year. You already, yeah. Charlotte said she's going to buy me a new phone.
We're
You've
kind
told
of
me
out
now
of
about
time.
100 times in this year alone that I need a new phone. I'm like,
You do.
Charlotte's going to buy me a new phone.
I would give you my old one, but it's Samsung, and you're not a Samsung user.
Am I not?
Well, you could change. I think it's the better side.
I've never had that side, so I don't know. But yeah, no, it's very different and very cool to see how they both kind of function. It's really fun.
Yeah. And do you know what? When we start our do you know what? I completely almost haven't mentioned that I totally dropped you in it this week again, with our manifesting challenge that we've been talking about since
Oh my
Christmas.
god.
And I just got fed up with waiting, so I've just announced it to everyone. So watch this space, people. We are coming at you with a manifesting challenge. It's going to be 12 days. We're going to put it together. You'll have videos of me and Grania, and we're going to make your dreams come to life.